Welcome to Born to Sell Denver with Brian Smith and Sean Moudry. Our guest today is Julie Leins from the Leins Group. Welcome, Julie.
I'm excited to be here.
Thanks for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself to get started.
Well, let's see. I'm from this area, Golden, Colorado, and started selling real estate in 2006 when I was managing fitness centers for 30 years. And then eventually I transitioned out to be full-time realtor in 2014. Joined Keller Williams in 2015.
That's amazing. I thought that you'd been an agent a lot longer than that. That's amazing. What a trajectory.
Why? Because I'm so old.
No.
You don't look old. You look younger than us, I think.
That's right.
For sure me, anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, just as successful as you are so quick, right?
I think it's taken a while. But thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
actually, I mean, I would have guessed that you would have been in longer too, because you're such a professional and you do so well.
Yeah.
And so usually it does take a little longer. So that does surprise me. You've had a lot of success in a short period of time.
Well, thank you. Well, I just build relationships with all the people I know and all the people from my past business too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, like, when I say successful, I don't mean it in the sense of just sales or transactions, but in name brand recognition. Like, because it takes many, many years to build a name, right? Like, there's a lot of agents that get into the business and they're successful in a short period of time, but to build a name that's as recognizable as yours in the period of time, I just thought you were in it longer.
Well, thank you for saying that. I didn't know my name was that well recognized.
It very much is. So what made you want to get into real estate?
Oh, this is a great story. After 30 years of seeing so many realtors go through the full service athletic clubs that I was managing, I saw, wow, they have some great schedules. And I was in the club all day long, like 10 hours a day. And I thought, well, one day I'm going to get out of here and I'm going to do what they do. Just work a little and work out a lot.
Yeah. Maybe you should have looked at what they were driving.
Yeah.
I did. They were driving some nice cars.
Oh, were they? Okay.
So did that all come true then? I mean, is it what you thought it would be?
It was a little different than I thought. I worked a lot back then. And then I ended up working a lot more now. But this is a lot more fun because now I'm all over. I'm all over the neighborhood. I'm all over the state, and I was stuck in a club, for 30 years, right? But the thing about working out more, no, I think you work out a little less.
So you get into real estate, coming out of the fitness industry. And so what were some of the things that you learned really quickly that made you so successful today?
Well, what I learned quickly was it's not a quick sale. When somebody walks into an athletic club, you need to close them right then, because otherwise they'll head to another athletic club. And, if you take somebody in a house, you cannot pressure them to buy the house. It's that they're going to live in that house. So you have to be a little bit more patient and take a little bit more time. And that was a big learning curve for me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because that's different than what a lot of coaching is, right? A lot of coaching is close. That's probably why I'm not good at open houses. I'm like, I have a contract. It's like, press hard, 4 copies.
That's right. And so you mentioned earlier relationships. Is that a big part of your business and how you get business these days?
It is. I usually, just talk to people like they're people and talk to them about everything but real estate, and then it leads to real estate. And I do things for my clients like parties and go out to dinner with them and pop by visits. I don't do a whole lot of like leads for, that are coming in from Zillow or, people I don't know. I try and work with people I know and get referrals.
Have you ever tried to buy leads?
Yes.
Yeah. And was that ever effective for you?
It was expensive and not that effective.
Yeah.
How do you build your database? Tell me about that. Well, first of all, how many people are in your database?
A good question. I'm not super good with remembering those numbers, but it's around 2,000.
Okay, and you have like an assistant, right, on your team? Somebody that manages that.
Kind of. I have a TC. I pretty much put everyone in my database.
Okay.
That I meet.
So you have 2,000 people. So where did they all come from?
Most of them came from my other business when I was in the fitness business. And I stayed in touch with a lot of these people. And then every time I do an open house, I've been doing open houses since 2006. I put everyone in my database. And businesses that I visit, just everyone that I meet, I put in my database. So they're not people that I don't know.
Okay, let's start with the open house people. Mm-hmm. How do you get their information? Because I know a lot of agents say, well, I get fake information, or they won't give me all the information, or they give me a fake name or a fake email address. So what do you do to get the real stuff to be able to start creating a relationship?
Oh, that's easy. I just talk to them like they're people. And I don't force them to sign in. If they start talking to me and they want to work with me, then I put them in my database and then I have them sign in. So if you just talk to them about their goals and who they are and not pressure them, then they'll sign in. Mm-hmm. I had two closings last week, and they were from open houses.
Wow. Okay. So do you have like a favorite first line that you use to break the ice with somebody?
Hi, how are you today? Do you live in the neighborhood? Or are you just looking in this neighborhood?
Yeah. Mine was a little different. When I did open houses, my first line almost always was, so when do you want to move in?
That's a good one. I like that.
It just kind of, people almost always laugh, when they hear it, and it breaks the ice. And then I would say, no, seriously, what's your name? What brought you in today? And so I'm a firm believer that if you can make people laugh, then you can take their guard down a little bit.
I like that. Yeah. That's a good one. I'll start using that.
I hate open houses. They're putting the signs out. Oh, that's brutal. Picking them up. Hate it all.
My husband does that part.
Yeah.
Trey. That's right.
That's great.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
awesome.
love open houses.
Yeah.
So you mentioned also businesses. So do you have a strategy around businesses where you go and meet people and add them to your database?
I do. It's the same strategy I used when I was in the athletic club business. I visit all the businesses that I frequent, say all the restaurants, anywhere I shop, anywhere that's near my home. I stop by there and I give them my Bronco schedules or my Rockies schedules or my, anything that I can give them that they will keep in their business and be happy to get, like magnets or, just like, here's what's going on. And I do it on a frequent basis. Yeah. And people think it's weird. They're like, oh, your Rockies schedules are always at the liquor store. Like, well, they keep asking me to stock them.
Yeah.
That's great. I went to a graduation party this Friday, and these people, I sold their first house. Let's see, their oldest daughter is 24, so 24 years ago. And they have a magnet on their fridge that's 20 years old.
Right.
One of my magnets.
Wow.
Yeah. And when's the last time I sent a magnet? Probably 10 years ago.
What did it say? I mean,
it was the measurement conversion one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I took a photo of it. It's pretty funny.
And you sent some more out of it.
I haven't. No, I mean.
Let's get those out.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? How they hold on to that stuff.
Well, that was such a big thing. I mean, geez, there was several companies that's what they did was sell magnets.
That's all they did.
Yeah. And so I haven't even really thought about that for a while.
Yeah.
But
what I'm realizing with Julie is she just keeps it simple, right? Mm-hmm. She's not overcomplicating it. You're active, you're out there, you're talking to people, you're doing the simple things, right? They're not easy. They're not always easy to do, but they're simple, and you're not overcomplicating the business. Now, can you share a little bit about your production last year, what you finished?
Oh, yeah, good question. I think I had 45 transactions.
Yeah.
And it was close. It was a little over 40 million. No, it was in the 30s last year. It was the year before that. It was 50 million.
Yeah, you're right under $1 million average sales price.
You might know my numbers better.
Yeah, I think you're just right under it, like 980 or something. Yeah, it's a high price point.
Sean, why don't you share with us Julie's production?
Yeah. I actually think I have it sitting on my desk. But it's a high price point, higher than the average right now, because I think the average is, 680 or something. So you're above.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, you did great.
I do have a MAPS coach, and she tells me to look at my numbers.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
You're like, I'm too busy selling.
Just, as long as I can get some production, then that's what's important to me. Like helping these people find homes and sell their homes. And at the end of the year, if it turns out really good for me, that's great.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Leins group. What is the Leins group?
The Leins group is some friends of mine, my husband and me, and mostly everyone on my team does showings. So then I'm not really out with buyers. I'm trying to get listings. And it works pretty well. It works really well right now because we have quite a few buyers. And John on my team, he's out with people every day.
Wow.
And how many people can he work with on a regular basis before he's too busy?
If he has like 5 buyers that he's working with right now, that's
he's moving.
Because I still write all the contracts and do all the negotiating on them.
Okay. And so he's showing the properties, and you're writing the contracts. And then, do you have any other involvement? Are you communicating with the clients at that point?
Completely. So these are all people from my sphere, or my database, or people that I've brought in. So I'll set up the first meeting with them, and then I'll say, well, John's going to show you homes, or I have Angelo on my team. He does some work with that too.
Okay. Let's explore that a little bit. So the initial phone call comes in, or you find the person, and do you do like a buyer appointment, a buyer presentation kind of thing? I
do a buyer or a seller.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
or
then
buyer seller.
Okay. So you meet with them, and then you pass them to John or one of the other showing agents.
Is John there with you? Like,
No.
if no, so you're meeting with him just one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then a lot of times my husband, he shows property too. He might go out with them first, and then we pass them over to John.
Okay.
Just so, because usually these people have a relationship with me, and then they like knowing, my husband, he's really good with them, but he can't always do it. And so John is out there.
What I love about that business model is one of the biggest problems I think agents have that hire let's call it a buyer agent or showing agent. One of the biggest problems is if that person is writing the offer, going to the inspection, going to the closing, the relationship's developed with the client. And then when at some point, the buyer's agent moves on and you lose that client from your database. But if you're writing the offer, you're negotiating the inspection, you're showing up at closing, then it maintains the relationship with you, and they are an arm of you, but the relationship is still back with you, right?
That's why I do it that way.
It's so much better.
Then I keep in contact with them.
Yeah.
Now, someone on my team can bring someone in, and that's from their sphere, and then we'll do it a little differently, but I'll still write the contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, even if they bring it in, you're still writing.
I'm still writing the contract and negotiating the deal.
That's good.
Okay,
I like that.
Very cool. Then after you get the deal under contract, then does your involvement look like?
If it's an inspection, then I'm usually not there. I'll usually have John or whoever showed the property be there. And if they can't be there, then I might stop by. Mm-hmm. But then, I still do the inspection objection.
Okay.
And all of that.
So you negotiate that, and then you're involved in the rest of the contract, and then closing happens.
And it's either one or both of us at closing.
Okay.
We'll do the walkthrough with them, and then, we'll both be at closing, depending on the involvement from the other team member. But I'm usually at all the closings.
And do you ask for referrals at that time, or do you do like, do you do reviews or anything? So what's your process for the actual closing?
I wish I could say I had like a good, oh yeah, I do the review, but it's sporadic, right? But the way that I do referrals is I never ask for them, but I always get them.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think I build a really good relationship with that client, and we take them out to dinner. We like to have a one-on-one with them, and you're just going to get a referral that way, and you don't have to ask.
Yeah. It's interesting because you said your database has about 2,000 people, okay? And I think we said 45 transactions, or maybe that's where you were at one time last year. And so do you know what percent that is?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, 2.5%.
Did you do the math?
I did. That's what I was doing on my phone.
He's quick.
I thought he was texting
2.5%, which is interesting because we always say that on average 5% of the people move on an annual basis. And so the fact that you're getting 2.5% or getting half of the people, I think that's significant. That's a lot, because we talk about, and by the way, we're also not taking into account the referral aspect. That's just the repeat business. And so 2.5% of your database is moving on a regular basis. So, if you had 100 people in your database and you were getting the same conversion rate, you'd only have 2.5 people.
Yeah.
Oh,
to move.
That'd be tough.
That would be tough, right? And so I think a lot of your success, it sounds like, is because of the database that you actually have built over the 9-10 years that you've been in the business.
I really thought he was going to go another way with that. I thought for sure he was going to say, if you do X, Y, Z, you could double that.
No, well, maybe.
If you ask for referral.
I was thinking that too.
That's what I was thinking. I think everybody listening is going to think the same thing.
Yeah, you could. I mean, for sure. But I mean, you've also built a great database out of people that know you, like you, trust you already.
Yeah.
And so if you continue to do 45 transactions a year, that's a pretty good business, especially as mostly an individual with a small supporting group that you have. It's a profitable business, isn't it?
It is. It's a great business.
Yeah.
And everyone always wants to talk about real estate. Mm-hmm. I used to think that when I was in the fitness business, everybody wanted to talk about fitness. But now I find out that it's the opposite. No, they want to talk about real estate. When they see you in the grocery store, they don't dodge you anymore. Like when
really?
Fitness, they'd be like, "Oh, turn the corner."
Yeah, they don't want you. They don't want you to see what's in your cart.
Right. Yeah. Now they come up to you. "Oh, how's the market?"
Yeah.
So it's a good conversation piece, and you're not limited where you can go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. If you don't have to work in Lakewood, you can work in Golden. You can work all over.
Yeah. Well, and I would think that your business is also a very profitable one. A lot of people think they have to build massive teams in order to do the production that you're doing. But based on what you've built, your expenses are low and you produce a lot and you probably are very profitable, I would guess.
Yeah, I try and keep my expenses down.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can get out of hand with that.
Yeah. Is there anything that you've done that you have paid for that's been really effective that you would just love to tell everybody about?
Well, let's see. Well, I like the listings magic. I think that's a good one. It gives you all your stats and you can show it to your seller. I think that's a really profitable one. I can't think of anything offhand that I've spent a lot of money.
You mentioned your coach.
Well, my coach, my MAPS coach, of course. I mean, this is the fourth coach I've had, and this coach is actually in our market center, and I've been with her a year and a half. So, we're actually competition, but she's amazing. So, I mean,
you can say who it is.
I can?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Ellie Van Westenberg.
That's right.
She was on the podcast a few months ago.
Well, I was afraid to coach with her. So then I said, well, I need to step out of my comfort zone, and I did it a year and a half ago.
Nice. Yeah.
What's happened since then?
Well, right now, I was telling Sean I have 20 listings.
20 listings.
And I have 3 more coming soon. I think the reason is because in the fall, she had me focusing on listings. And I focused so hard on listings that now, people are just calling me. And now I need to really focus on, getting the listings sold.
Yeah. So what changed then to get you those results? What were some of the things that she told you to do or that you guys decided that you were going to do in order to get such an increase in listings?
Well, I did start doing something a little different. I started calling expireds and dropping in on expireds, and that was really, something different for me.
Like a Popeye?
Yeah.
You're like, ding dong.
Yeah, I didn't do
Really?
the calls because, a lot of times on the calls, then they're on the do not call list.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just decided to start popping by. And what Allie taught me was to stay in my neighborhood. Stay in your neighborhood. And I never thought, oh, that's going to work. Well, right now I've got 3 listings in my neighborhood. And I did my expireds in my neighborhood. So that way it was a lot easier. Just pop by and...
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the conversation's easier because you're like, hey, I'm one of your neighbors. I saw that your house didn't sell.
What is your conversation?
That was it. I popped in on the last 2 and I said, hey, I live in the neighborhood and your home has expired twice. Both of them were like, I was the 3rd agent on. And I said, I'll show the house to the agents because a lot of agents don't know the area and they are just showing their buyer. And if I show up for every listing, showing, then maybe the house will sell. And sure enough, it worked.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is agents should be focused on visiting expireds and probably for sale by owners in your neighborhood. How big is your neighborhood? Like, how big do you go out from where you live?
A couple miles.
Okay.
I mean, I live in Genesee,
Yeah.
so everything's pretty close.
Yeah. And so it's basically anybody that's around you. You just go and visit them.
Why not, right? Just go knock on the door because, it's better than calling them and having them not answer.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a no visit list, is there?
There is not.
Okay, I was going to say, do we have to do a legal disclosure here and say
there are neighborhoods that are restricted against solicitation, but I think that's more specific to solar sales or those kind of things. I think if you pop in on an expired, I don't think that's going to be a big issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and if you leave your card, if they're not there, they usually call you.
Yeah. Have you tried the gift? Dropping off a gift?
No, that sounds like a good idea.
It works. It's weird how well that one works.
What do you do?
Well, so Sophia and I had a couple that we were following up with, and she went to Home Goods and just got a couple of those like little framed artwork pieces in a bag, and we drove around and we rang the doorbell and said, "Hey, we want to bring this bag. We look forward to meeting with you in the future," and drove away. And I think we did 3 in a day. We got 2 appointments out of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
we did actually sign 2 listings. Actually, both of them, we signed both the listings, and neither one of them ended up moving. So one of them ended up not getting relocated, and the other one fixed their foreclosure situation. But the bags work, the little gift.
Well, that's
a great idea.
That's a great idea. And how much did the pictures cost you? Like what?
Oh,
Because everybody's paying for leads. It seems like a lot of people are paying for online leads, right?
Yeah.
So what do they cost?
Maybe $20. Yeah, for the bag. I mean, what's a bag's $5 and maybe $10 to $15 for the gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like something like home. It was like one of those signs that said like home. I was like, this is ugly, but it worked.
Well, if you do that with 10 houses and you get 10 listings or 10 appointments,
Yeah,
right? 10 appointments, so it might cost you, $200.
yeah.
That's a cool idea.
No, something
That
else.
might be the smartest thing that you've actually said on
Ever.
this entire
I know.
podcast series.
I'd love to say I came up
Write
with
this
it. But
down.
somebody
This is
taught
good.
me. Somebody told me to do it. I didn't come up with it. Something else that Julie said, though, that I thought was really important is she said that I will attend the showings, meaning that every time a buyer wants to, or a buyer or buyer's agent wants to show the property, you're attending the listing.
Yes.
And I've noticed that doing that, because one of the biggest complaints we hear over and over again from sellers is that my agent didn't do anything, right? Especially over the past 5 years where, houses fly off the shelf and they feel like agents are overpaid and, not all sellers, but some sellers feel that way. And attending the showings, at least they feel like, okay, you did more than especially my previous agent. So is that what you're finding?
I'm finding that definitely in the higher price points for sure.
Yeah. And then you're able to gather feedback directly from the buyer because they're right there.
Well, and I find that it really is true that, if you're a buyer's agent and you have a client that wants to go all over, you might not know an area.
the average agent does 5 deals a year.
Well,
they don't have a clue.
And not only that, but you know the house better than
Yeah.
the buyer's agent who's just walking somebody through, especially when you're talking about higher price points, because you can miss a lot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And the area. Like, I think that's really important that a lot of them don't know what's going on in the area. And if you have an out-of-state buyer, I mean, you'd be happy to have a listing agent be there if you didn't know the area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're building your business. Sounds like things are going well. What do you see? I'm curious what your thoughts are on the future of real estate with all the things going on with the legal stuff. And, what thoughts do you have or concerns do you have about the changes and maybe how we look at commission and such?
Wow, I'm so proud of Brian asking this question.
You are?
I didn't know we were going to get into this. This is
I had a
great.
feeling you'd ask that.
This is good.
Well, I try not to think about it. I'm just going to go with the flow, how it is. And I think getting a lot of listings is important because then, you're safe there. If the buyer's agent does go away, then you're there. But I just don't think it's going to happen because most of the sellers I've been talking to lately, when I bring up the fact that if they don't offer some kind of commission, they might not have their house shown as much, then they're offering at least 2.5, 2.8%.
Yeah.
The big question, though, is if you can't advertise it, right, the co-op, if you can't market the co-op at least, directly through the MLS, is there a benefit offering one? That's the question that I don't think we know.
Well, I think first of all, I think every buyer should have a buyer's agent, especially if you're a listing agent. I mean, think about how much you open yourself up liability-wise.
Yeah.
Like if you were selling your own house, okay, which I would assume that you would list your own house unless you have somebody else to do it. But I would think you would assume
Sure.
you'd list your own house. Would you take the risk of not having a buyer represented by a buyer's agent?
If I'm a listing agent, not if I'm a for sale by owner.
Well,
no, I definitely would. And in fact, it's interesting you bring this up because the last listing that we just took that went active, it actually excludes us from being a transaction broker and representing both sides. So it says if the buyer's unrepresented, that we will refer to them to another agent to have representation because they were worried about that.
Right.
They were worried about transaction brokerage.
Well, they should be.
Yeah.
They should be. Somebody has to look out for their best interests.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the commission is the second part of it. I think the commission is, obviously, if you're going to do a job, if you're going to represent somebody, you should be compensated. Now, what that compensation is, that's negotiable now. Right?
Yeah.
But I do think that, I agree with Julie that I don't think it's going to change that much. In fact, I think it's very similar to what the commercial agents have been doing for years. It's negotiable, and you talk about it when you put the deal together.
My biggest concern, look, we're just going to take over the podcast, Julie.
That's okay.
My biggest concern is if you look at the conversations that are going on in these Facebook groups with these other agents and how much confusion, I will say, and misguided information, is going on out there that I'm afraid that the consumers are going to get super confused because everybody's reading it differently.
Yeah, that is probably true. Okay. But you've set up your business to kind of insulate yourself from that by getting 20 listings.
There you go.
I try not to listen to anything negative. I think that's the key.
I love it.
So when you listen to our podcast, then you must turn Sean's voice off.
I know. The black hat. She's like Dory. Keep on swimming. Keep on swimming.
Right.
That's the way I am too.
Yeah,
everything changes, right? Everything changes. So you just have to go with it.
Yeah.
Well, and you came in at a time after the last shift, the previous shift, right? And so we obviously over the last year or two have seen a difference in the market from what you started, right? And so what do you think made you successful during that shift in the market to increase your business during that time?
I just stayed in touch with all my people and I just kept pushing, and I didn't really push people to work with me. I just kept in front of them that this is what I do. If you need any help, and just, get my name out there.
What do you use? How do you stay in front of everybody? Like, is it a database management program? Is it?
Well, I do have people on a drip. I also do a lot of Facebook organic advertising.
Social media. Okay.
Social media, yeah.
Just Facebook, or you using?
I do Instagram too, but I don't do more than that.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of people instant messaging me, through Facebook. I get a lot of listing appointments that way. And so I think it's a good thing to stay on social media.
Yeah.
People connect. I have people calling me from high school, like that I haven't seen for 50 years, to sell their parents' house.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like every time I'm on Facebook, you have another listing popping up. Like, it's my like finger is burned out. It's like you look very active and very busy and very professional, right? And I think that's obviously a mistake that some agents make, right? Like too many vacation photos, too many political conversations, and I think it throws the consumer off a little bit.
That's true. They forget what you're really there for, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to communicate with people, but I like them to know what I do too, because, it's one of the things that everybody needs.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a strategy for that, or you just, hey, I feel like I'm going on Facebook today, and how does that work? I mean, some people have like a system where they say from 9 o'clock to 9:30 every day, I'm going to go in, I'm going to like, 25 posts. Okay, and some people just kind of randomly just do it. So what's your strategy?
Yeah, I don't have that one anymore. I used to do that, and it was too hard. So every day I get on around 8 o'clock, and I do some kind of share with any kind of listing I have, or if I just had a closing or an under contract. And then I post probably 2 or 3 times a day and showing, my sign or something under contract. And sometimes I put my grandkids on there just, to show that, that's what's important to me. That's my big why.
Yeah.
You got to share your story about your recent sign incident, because that was a great post.
Oh, that was. I mean, I had never had my sign vandalized before, and the seller went out and took a picture, and he's like, "Have you ever seen a vandalized sign?" And he sent me the picture, and I said, "No, I'll post that." So I posted it, and I said, "Wow."
Now think about the bravery in that. She has a sign that's vandalized, spray painted, bent over. They broke the post and bent the sign over. And instead of being like, "Oh, no problem, let me order a new sign, I'll get it out there," which I'm sure you did. Her first thought is, "I got to post this."
Well, I thought, no advertising is bad advertising.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, "We'll be out there. Don't worry. We'll get it taken care of." But we didn't hurry out. I posted it, and I had many people, instant message me. I have one really good one that wants to sell in the Highlands and buy in Applewood. So it was actually, it was a good thing that happened.
So this weekend, Trey's going out, and he's just going to destroy all of her signs. Yeah. That's her new marketing.
You ought to get her on.
Idea.
Yeah.
That's good, right?
You have to get her on TikTok next.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be a cool thing.
Get you
create a video.
That's right.
One way to get business.
Are you doing any videos at all, or is it just mainly posts?
I mainly do posts.
Okay.
Occasionally I'll do like a walkthrough video if I'm doing an open house or something. But yeah, I don't like them too long. I think people are quick. I mean, they're quick to look on any social media. So anything too long, they're not going to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, where did you, so you obviously are doing a lot right. So was this something that you just kind of like figured out on your own, or did you have help, or did you have a mentor, or, tell me about how you became you.
You mean the social media part?
Yeah, just your business in general, I think.
I started way back when I was in the fitness industry, before there was even internet. And in order to get business into the facilities that I was managing, I had to visit all of the surrounding homes and businesses in person. And so I would go out and give out free guest passes every day. Every day I had and then the internet came, right? And it was exciting because then we had Facebook and we would post on there. And so when I went into real estate, I just thought the same thing. Why not do the same thing?
Yeah.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a community-based business. You're still running it the same, and again, this is where agents overthink it, is they think that they have to sell houses to every human on the planet instead of just stay focused in a geographic area and people that people that you're going to run into at the grocery store. Keep it simple.
I do have a grocery store ad that I like.
Is it on the shopping cart?
It's on the shopping cart. And the only reason I have that is it's an area that I like to work, and I grew up in that area. So it doesn't work for everyone, but it does work if you are consistent with it and you have it in that area and you have your signs in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is most of your business, though, confined to your area, or do you go all over the place?
I go all over.
Yeah.
I started by going all over because I thought, well, I'll do a deal anywhere. But now it's become where it's pretty much in Golden, Lakewood, Wheat Ridge, those areas where most of my listings are.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, so we have a few minutes left. So what's next for Julie?
Well, next, I'm going to try and get my daughter and granddaughter into real estate so I can have a legacy.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
So that's my next plan.
That's the next plan, building the team, the family team.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Do they know that?
They know. My granddaughter's only 10, but she likes to help work open houses, and she's pretty into that.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Okay, so where can somebody go to find out more about the Leins Group?
They can go to ColoradoHomesDreamTeam.com.
ColoradoHomesDreamTeam.com. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how should they do that?
720-474-0928.
Okay.
Call or text me.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about your business, or anything that you can think of that we didn't talk about?
Well, all agents should be at Keller Williams. That's my thought.
Yeah, you came over. I won't ask where you came over from, but you didn't start with Keller Williams.
No, I didn't. My brother has a small boutique brokership, then I went to another one with a big R on it, and then a friend of mine recruited me for 7 years, and then I came here.
Okay, and why? So I'm curious why you would say all should be with Keller Williams. What has Keller Williams given you that you has been able to help you build your business?
Well, I think we have a lot of camaraderie here. We have you can learn from other agents, which that's where I've learned about everything. And, I like making 100%.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
I can't do that anywhere else.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
All right, Julie, thanks for being on the podcast today. And you've got a great business. I mean, it's just an awesome business. You look like you're having fun. And so I think that's the best thing about what you do.
Well, fun is right. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.